NASCAR just changed the rules at one of its most exciting tracks, and the drivers are not taking it quietly. Circuit of the Americas, better known as COTA, is in Austin, Texas. Unlike most NASCAR tracks, which are big ovals where drivers only turn left, COTA is a road course. That means drivers have to turn left, turn right, go uphill, go downhill, and navigate through a twisting technical layout that demands real skill. It is one of the most unique stops on the entire NASCAR schedule, and fans absolutely love it. But heading into the 2026 race at COTA, NASCAR has made some serious changes, and they are already stirring up drama before a single lap has been run. NASCAR has placed physical tire barriers at Turn 6 and added AI-powered cameras that will automatically alert officials the moment a driver cuts the corner. If you shortcut Turn 6 in 2026, you are getting caught. No gray area, no confusion, no excuses. And to understand why NASCAR felt they had to do this, you have to go back to what happened at COTA in 2000-2005, because it was a mess. COTA has a section that racing fans call the S's. It is a stretch of track that includes turns 3, 4, 5, and 6. These turns wiggle back and forth like a snake, and they require a lot of precision. The problem is that drivers can save a massive amount of time by cutting through these corners instead of following the proper racing line. NASCAR is responsible for making sure that does not happen. In 2000, they failed at that job. And everyone knew it. Before the 2005 COTA race, NASCAR told teams that turns 3, 4, and 5 would be enforced. Drivers who cut those corners would get penalties. But turn 6, which is right at the end of that same section, was not going to be policed. The issue was that this was never made crystal clear to every single team. So when the race started, some drivers were cutting turn 6 freely and gaining time, while others stayed on the proper line and followed the rules. The result was a race where some drivers were punished for cheating and others were rewarded for it, depending entirely on which corner they cut. Kyle Busch was one of the drivers who followed the rules. He stayed on the proper line all race long, but he could see with his own eyes that other drivers, specifically Shane van Gisbergen, were cutting turn 6 repeatedly without any penalty at all. His team confirmed it over the radio. NASCAR was not enforcing turn 6. Busch had been playing by the rules while others were not, and it cost him time and track position. After the race, he made his feelings very clear. He said NASCAR ain't got a clue about what they're doing officiating-wise. That quote went everywhere, and the frustration behind it was completely understandable. What made things even worse was the inconsistency. Kyle Larson received a penalty during that same race for cutting turn 3, but van Gisbergen, who cut turn 6 multiple times, faced zero consequences. 2 drivers, 2 corner cuts, 2 completely different outcomes. That is not how fair racing is supposed to work. And drivers across the garage knew it. A few days after the race, NASCAR's Brad Moran, who manages the Cup Series, went on Sirius XM radio to address the situation. He explained that NASCAR had always planned not to police turn 6. It was a deliberate decision based on the new, shorter track layout that was being used for the first time in 2000. He said, "We had no questions. No one came to the holler on it. We thought we were pretty clear." But the reality was that several teams had no idea what the rules were until mid-race, when NASCAR had to send out a message to the entire garage clarifying the situation. Hamlin said, "My theory is the reason they chose not to judge turn 6 is because there's a clear view on TV whether you shortcut it, and they don't want a bunch of criticism that they missed this call, missed that call." In other words, Hamlin believed NASCAR was scared of being publicly embarrassed on live TV. Turn 6 is easy to see on broadcasts. Every missed call would be immediately obvious to millions of viewers. So rather than risk that, Hamlin thinks NASCAR simply chose not to enforce it at all. It is a theory, but it is one that a lot of people in the racing world found very believable. And here is the bigger picture. The COTA confusion in 2025 did not happen in a vacuum. It was part of a pattern. 3 weeks into the 2025 NASCAR season, every single race weekend had been marked by some kind of officiating controversy. At the Daytona 500, NASCAR admitted they threw a caution flag too early on the final lap after a crash, a mistake that affected the outcome of the most important race of the year. At Atlanta, the Xfinity Series race finished under green despite a massive last-lap crash on the backstretch. The very next day, the Cup Series race at Atlanta ended under caution with leaders in Turn 3 because of another backstretch crash on the final lap. And then came COTA and the Turn 6 disaster. One bad weekend people can forgive. 4 bad weekends in a row. That is a credibility problem. So for 2026, NASCAR made it their mission to fix Turn 6 once and for all. The first change is physical. NASCAR has placed tire packs directly at Turn 6. Tire packs are large stacks of tires used as barriers. They are positioned in the exact spot where a car would have to go if it was cutting the corner. If you hit them, there is no argument, no debate. No, well, maybe the driver didn't gain an advantage. You hit the tires, you cut the corner, you get penalized. A NASCAR official explained the thinking simply, saying, "There's a rudimentary solve having tire packs. Obviously, you don't want to hit them, and they're positioned in an area where if you hit them, you have to shortcut the course. It is pretty black and white, which is really the best way to officiate. Gray area is where you can get yourself in trouble. That last part is important. Gray area is exactly what destroyed the 2005 race. This new approach eliminates it completely." The second change is technological. NASCAR is deploying AI-powered cameras at Turn 6. These cameras are not just recording footage for someone to review later. They are actively monitoring the track in real time. The moment a car crosses the defined boundary, the system automatically sends an alert straight to the officials in the race control tower. The officials can then review it immediately and make a call. The official described it this way: "If a car crosses those parameters, it sends up an alert to our officiating team that can review it and then make the call if there was a shortcutting of the course." Combined with the physical tire packs, this creates a two-layer enforcement system. The tires stop most drivers from even trying. The cameras catch anyone who comes close but does not hit the barriers. On top of both of those changes, NASCAR has scheduled a meeting with all drivers on Friday before practice even begins to walk through exactly how the new rules will work. The official confirmed, "We plan to speak with the drivers on Friday and go over those with them one more time." That alone is a direct response to 2025, when the communication failure was at the heart of everything that went wrong.